Hi everyone, welcome back to Wealth Signals. Right now, the balance of power in the Middle East is being questioned in ways that few analysts expected only a few years ago. For decades, the strategic structure of the region was built around one central idea, that the United States possessed unmatched military reach and technological superiority across the Middle East. American aircraft could operate almost anywhere, American naval fleets controlled critical sea lanes, and a network of military bases across the Gulf allowed Washington to project power quickly whenever a crisis emerged. This system of dominance shaped alliances, security guarantees, and the political calculations of nearly every government in the region. But recent developments involving military cooperation between Russia and Iran are forcing strategists to re-examine assumptions that had remained largely unquestioned for more than 40 years. Across the world, military planners constantly study the strengths and weaknesses of their competitors. Modern warfare is not simply about the size of armies or the number of aircraft a country possesses. It is increasingly about systems, integration, and the ability to deny an opponent freedom of movement. Over the last 2 decades, Russian defense strategy has focused heavily on developing technologies specifically designed to counter the advantages traditionally held by Western militaries. Rather than attempting to build a mirror image of American forces, Russian engineers and strategists invested in advanced air defense networks, long-range radar detection systems, precision missile technology, and coastal anti-ship weapons capable of challenging naval operations near defended coastlines. The purpose of these systems is not necessarily to defeat an adversary outright in a conventional war. Instead, the objective is to make military intervention extremely risky, extremely expensive, and politically difficult. For Iran, defensive capability has always been central to national security planning. Iran sits at the intersection of some of the most sensitive geopolitical fault lines on the planet. Its territory lies near the Persian Gulf, through which a significant portion of global oil exports travels every day. It is also located close to several foreign military installations belonging to regional partners of the United States. Because of this geographic reality, Iranian defense doctrine has long focused on deterrence rather than conventional power projection. Deterrence means convincing potential adversaries that attacking would lead to consequences so costly that military action becomes an unattractive option. Over the years, Iran has invested heavily in missile forces, drone development, and layered defense systems intended to complicate any potential attack against its territory. Recent reports from defense analysts suggest that military cooperation between Russia and Iran has expanded in ways that could strengthen this deterrent strategy. Several advanced systems are believed to have been transferred as part of a coordinated defensive architecture. These systems include long-range air defense platforms capable of engaging aircraft at great distances, sophisticated radar networks designed to detect incoming threats far earlier than previous generations of equipment, precision missile systems able to reach military facilities hundreds of kilometers away, and coastal defense missiles intended to protect strategic waterways from hostile naval forces. While each of these technologies is significant on its own, the real transformation occurs when they are linked together into an integrated network where radar detection, targeting data, and command systems communicate in real time. In modern warfare, information often determines the outcome long before a missile is launched or an aircraft reaches its target. The side that detects an approaching aircraft first can track its movement, analyze its trajectory, and prepare defensive responses long before the aircraft even approaches its objective. Advanced radar systems play a crucial role in this process. Some modern radar complexes are designed to operate across multiple frequency bands, allowing them to track different types of aircraft under varying conditions. When radar systems operate as part of a wider network, they can pass data to missile batteries, command centers, and early warning systems simultaneously. This type of integrated architecture makes it much more difficult for incoming aircraft to approach undetected, increasing both the complexity and the risk associated with military strike missions. Missile technology has also transformed how countries think about defense and retaliation. Tactical ballistic missiles and advanced cruise missiles can travel at extremely high speeds and reach distant targets within minutes. Some systems are designed to maneuver during the final phase of flight, making interception more difficult for traditional missile defense systems. From a strategic perspective, the existence of these weapons changes the planning assumptions for military installations throughout a region. Air bases, logistics hubs, command centers, and supply depots that were once considered relatively secure must now consider the possibility of precision missile strikes capable of causing serious damage to infrastructure and operational capacity. Even a single successful hit on critical infrastructure can disrupt military operations and create cascading effects throughout a broader defense network. Naval forces have historically provided one of the greatest strategic advantages for the United States. Aircraft carriers and their escort fleets allow long-range operations without relying entirely on local bases. These carrier groups can project air power hundreds of kilometers from the coastline, providing rapid response capabilities in times of crisis. However, modern coastal defense missile systems have introduced new challenges for naval strategy. Supersonic anti-ship missiles are designed to travel at extremely high speeds while flying just above the ocean surface, making them difficult to detect and intercept. Some missiles can approach targets from multiple angles, while others are capable of evasive maneuvers during the final stage of flight. When several missiles are launched simultaneously toward a single naval group, defensive systems must react within seconds to prevent damage. Because of these developments, naval planners today evaluate operational risks much more carefully when operating near heavily defended coastlines. The presence of modern coastal missile systems does not automatically prevent naval operations, but it forces commanders to consider additional factors such as distance, surveillance coverage, defensive readiness, and the potential consequences of engagement. In strategic terms, the goal of such systems is not necessarily to destroy every approaching ship, but to create enough uncertainty that adversaries hesitate before deploying forces too close to defended territory. The broader political consequences of these technological developments are equally important. Whenever the balance of military capability shifts in a region, governments across that region reassess their strategic assumptions. Some countries may interpret stronger Iranian defenses as a new security challenge that requires additional investment in their own defense systems. Others may view the situation as an incentive to pursue diplomatic engagement rather than military confrontation. Alliances that were once built on unquestioned assumptions about military superiority may begin to evolve as new technologies change how risks are calculated. Strategic deterrence is not only about physical capability, it is also about perception. If political leaders believe that military action will involve high costs, uncertain outcomes, and potential escalation, they are more likely to explore alternative paths such as negotiation, diplomacy, or economic pressure. Conversely, if a country believes it can act with minimal risk, it may be more willing to rely on military options. This is why changes in defensive technology can influence international politics far beyond the battlefield itself. The global strategic environment is also becoming more competitive as major powers pursue their own security interests. Over the past decade, technological rivalry between large nations has expanded into areas such as missile defense, cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, and advanced surveillance systems. Military innovation in one country often leads to countermeasures in another. As these cycles continue, regions like the Middle East become arenas where broader geopolitical competition plays out. For decades, the presence of American forces in the Middle East served as a stabilizing factor for some countries while acting as a point of tension for others. Military bases, joint exercises, and security partnerships helped shape the regional order. But as new technologies emerge and new alliances develop, the strategic environment naturally evolves. Analysts now debate whether recent developments represent a temporary adjustment or the beginning of a longer-term transformation in regional security dynamics. Another important factor influencing the region is the economic and energy landscape. The Middle East remains one of the most important sources of oil and natural gas in the world. Any conflict that threatens energy supply routes can have immediate consequences for global markets. Because of this, military strategy in the region is closely linked to economic stability and international trade. Countries outside the Middle East also monitor developments carefully, as disruptions in energy supply can influence inflation, industrial production, and global economic growth. At the same time, diplomacy continues to play a crucial role in preventing conflicts from escalating into larger confrontations. Governments maintain communication channels, negotiate agreements, and engage in multilateral discussions aimed at managing tensions. Even when rival powers disagree on many issues, diplomatic engagement remains an essential mechanism for reducing misunderstandings and avoiding unintended escalation. The evolving relationship between Russia and Iran adds another layer of complexity to the geopolitical landscape. Cooperation between the two countries has expanded in several areas, including economic partnerships, energy development, and defense coordination. From Moscow's perspective, strengthening ties with regional partners can expand influence and counterbalance Western presence in certain strategic areas. From Tehran's perspective, cooperation with a major power provides access to technology, trade opportunities, and diplomatic support in international forums. However, international relations rarely follow simple patterns. Actions taken by one country often trigger responses from others. As military technology spreads and alliances shift, countries continuously adapt their strategies to protect national interests. The result is a dynamic environment where the balance of power evolves through a combination of technological development, economic partnerships, and diplomatic negotiations. In the coming years, analysts expect continued debate about the long-term implications of these developments. Some experts argue that new defense technologies will significantly strengthen deterrence and reduce the likelihood of large-scale conflict. Others believe that increased military capabilities on multiple sides could create new risks if crises escalate unexpectedly. The truth may lie somewhere between these perspectives, depending on how governments manage tensions and whether diplomatic solutions remain available during moments of crisis. What is clear is that the Middle East continues to occupy a central position in global geopolitics. The decisions made by leaders in Washington, Moscow, Tehran, and other regional capitals will influence not only the security of the region, but also the broader international system. Military technology, economic interests, and political alliances all intersect here, creating a complex landscape that requires careful analysis rather than simple conclusions. For observers around the world, understanding these developments is important because geopolitical shifts can have ripple effects far beyond their immediate location. Energy markets, financial systems, and international trade networks are all connected to stability in strategic regions. Changes in military balance can influence investor confidence, commodity prices, and long-term economic planning. As the global environment continues to evolve, policymakers, analysts, and citizens alike will watch closely to see how these dynamics unfold. The interaction between major powers, regional actors, and emerging technologies will shape the next chapter of Middle Eastern geopolitics. Whether this period leads to greater stability through deterrence or new tensions through competition will depend largely on how carefully nations manage their strategies and diplomatic relationships. In the end, the situation illustrates a broader reality of international politics. Power is never static. It shifts over time as technology advances, alliances evolve, and strategic priorities change. What once appeared to be permanent dominance can gradually transform into a more complex balance, where multiple actors possess capabilities that influence the choices of others. Understanding that process is essential for interpreting the events that continue to unfold across one of the most strategically important regions in the world. And that's the latest update on what's happening right now and how these geopolitical developments could influence the balance of power in the Middle East and potentially impact global financial markets. As we've discussed in this video, events like these don't just affect politics. They often have a direct influence on commodities, especially gold, silver, and energy prices. That's exactly why staying informed about both geopolitics and market movements is becoming more important for investors around the world. If you found this analysis helpful, make sure to subscribe to Wealth Signals, where we bring you clear insights on global events, precious metals, and financial market trends. And now I'd like to hear your opinion. Do you think rising geopolitical tensions could push gold and silver prices significantly higher in the coming months? Or do you believe the markets have already priced in these risks? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read your comments, and they help guide future discussions here on Wealth Signals. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update right here on Wealth Signals.